Nicole Vegas, and this is Vegas Views. I have a special guest that is David Kohlmeier, and we're going to talk about problem solver. Boy, I can't talk. It's like a tongue tie today.
Well, thank you for having me here today.
All right, I know that we briefly discussed about the bodies that have been recovered from Lake Mead, and I want you to share what others can do to be involved and be proactive in our community to help give information if there's any other bodies that have been discovered.
So what the Problem Solver show and what we're doing is we're trying to uncover kind of the mysteries of Lake Mead in general. And right now there have been 5 bodies that have been located, and each body basically has a story to be told. And we are trying to investigate behind the scenes by getting tips and information from the community, from the public in general, to find out exactly what happened. Who are these missing bodies? Was there criminal activity? Was it a drowning person? The Problem Solver show started out originally where myself, as a retired police officer of 17 years, is trying to help people with problems. And it's definitely a problem in regards to these bodies being located. And we want to bring closure to the families of these people that are either a victim or of a missing person or a drowning victim. And so we are trying to go above and beyond to help the situation. But we want the community to be more involved, to supply tips and information to myself, which we also work with local law enforcement with providing them information in order to basically bring closure to these families.
All right, and the way they can contact you or get involved is 1-833-TIPS-CASH, and it's going to be at the bottom of the screen.
So with that particular phone number, it's kind of similar to Crime Stoppers, but Crime Stoppers of Nevada is a separate entity where you can always get reward money if you have a tip that would lead to an arrest and a conviction. We are using 1-833-TIPS-CASH from the Problem Solver show, where people can remain anonymous. They would also get a tips cash number, and if we're able to use that to either identify the body or lead to an arrest or a conviction, or for information in general, we would provide reward money. It's not specific to arrest and conviction. Any type of tip, whether of who the body may be or criminal activity that would lead to the arrest and conviction, that's great. But any type of information, we want to give reward money. We believe that by giving the community an incentive, a crime prevention initiative strategy to give money to the community, to get them involved. In the police world, we all over the world, in regards probably actually maybe the United States, we always have this marketing from the police is if you see something, say something, which is basically trying to get people to call the police, to 911 or 311. But we want to basically do something a little bit different by creating initiatives, by giving money to people in the community if they're supplying information, whether it's tips, information in general. So we started the 1-833-TIPS-CASH number in order to get the community involved. And we have no problem giving money to people if they're supplying, valid information to help, bring closure or information to help lead to an arrest and conviction.
Has anybody called on the tip hotline and was able to get cash back?
So recently, the first body that was located, which we call the body in the barrel, that was located around May. We started the first initiative, which was a $5,000 challenge for a diver to find a second body in a barrel at Lake Mead. It started off as a little bit of a crime prevention initiative. People laughed. It was my concept of doing a crime prevention initiative that was different, that would get people's attention, and then we get people to look around Lake Mead when they're out there. And we actually had, 4 days later, someone called and said we found the second body. And I asked them specifically if there was a body in a barrel. They stated no. It was very specific, the $5,000 challenge for finding a second body in a barrel. But this person decided to look in the sandbar, which actually is the lake bed in general. And they basically were digging in the sand and they located a second body, which they just recently identified as a person that was a drowning victim. And I believe with DNA, they did identify who that person was. But that's body number 2. Body 1, 3, 4, and 5 are still outstanding. We don't know who they are. And we do know that body number 1 was involved in a homicide. And that is under investigation by Las Vegas Metro and the FBI.
That's so intense to know that multiple bodies have been found and that other people are calling in with tips and they're still discovering more bodies. I can't share the name, but there is a friend that called me, let me know that she has a boat down there and she did discover a body. the FBI went there, made her sign something. So if they have to sign something through the FBI, could they still call you?
You know, it's very interesting that you mentioned that. I mean, I personally have never heard something like that. Sounds a little bit like conspiracy theory. I'm sure a lot of viewers would say, is that really true? First of all, I mean, everything would be confidential in general. I have no problem providing any type of tip money for someone coming forward, supplying information. It'd be very interesting what they found in general. It could be a phone call. It could be a text message. We could always meet, you know, in general. It depends on what the person wants to do in general. But we have no problem supplying cash money for people for any type of tips. Recently, there was a family that was out of Lake Mead enjoying themselves on a summer day, and they located actually body number 3, some body parts, bones, and he actually came to our Problem Solver show, and one of the sponsors, which was Las Vegas Legal Network, decided to give a $500 cash reward because they felt bad because their 12-year-old daughter located the body, which was pretty much a torso. It was like a kind of a cut-up body that just kind of came to the shoreline. With that being said, Las Vegas Legal Network decided to basically give a $500 kind of reward money for coming forward and sharing their story. They seem like they're a family that goes out to Lake Mead quite a bit, and believe it or not, they found body number 3. They did go out again. They found body 5.
They found it, another
body. Yeah. So he must be out there in general exploring Lake Mead, and I think he also has a little bit of a YouTube channel. So with that being said, he found body 3 and 5, which I laugh at it, but it sounds crazy. Like how many people find the body to begin with? This guy has found a second body.
Like a magnet for it. But they're doing their part, you know, helping remove the bodies that should not even be there in the first place, and then it's helping spare people, average Joes, you know, not to have to see a dead body where they do often vacation with their boats and swimming. I swam in Lake Mead before knowing everything that has been occurring lately. My question is, I guess they were saying that they knew that there was bodies, but why now, recently, are they now looking for them after years and years of knowing?
You know, it's a great question. A lot of people don't really know, but Lake Mead, this is the lowest it's ever been since about 1935. It's the lowest since 1935. So we're talking almost about, you know, what is it, about 80-something years that the water level has not been this low because of the drought and because of the conditions that are taking place, it seems, throughout the world. There's a lot of lakes that are the drought's taking place, and the water is basically treading back into the lake, and now you're having the shoreline that really is, you know, the lake bed. So what's very, very interesting is that every 10 feet that the water, you know, lessens, that lake bed has never seen the day of light for the last 80-something years. So could you imagine, right? They recently located a firearm that was in the lake bed close nearby the first body in the barrel. So is it related? A lot of people are not sure. Are there other things in that sand, in that lake bed, that are in that same area? No one's really exploring. No one's really digging. And technically, what a lot of people don't know is it's actually considered illegal in federal land of Lake Mead to dig or to even dive looking for any type of criminal activity or historical facts. It's illegal. You could actually literally get a ticket. You can go to jail unless you get a permit specifically for those items. So if I just started taking out a shovel specifically for criminal activity or archaeological, I can literally go to jail for that. But a kid playing in the sand may be different. But recently, Switzerland TV came out to interview myself, Danny Miner, Beja Rivera, co-host of the Problem Solver show, and they went out to Lake Mead, and as they're walking, somehow in the sand they see something of like a metallic color, and they located a firearm, which was a 9mm Pureza, which is a similar gun that was used back in 1975 and 1980, where the investigation right now says that the body in the barrel possibly was from that era. So the gun is very possible that it's very related. It's crazy. I mean, if someone committed a homicide, would you literally just throw the gun? You know, I mean, I imagine in my head, there's a boat, they're throwing a body in a barrel over, the guy who has the weapon, you know, for the murder, tosses the gun itself,
Oh my goodness.
you know, into the water as well nearby. I mean, I can see that play out in a movie, but in real life, you know, we always see movies, we don't think it's real. So, I mean, it's very possible the gun was nearby. Nothing else has kind of showed up in that immediate area, you know. We were told possibly there are other items that are in that lake area as well, but again, it's illegal to actually even search for it.
So this is very real, though. This
Yes.
is not pretend. This
Absolutely.
is happening. There's bodies that are getting recovered. There's either a gun that pertains to that body that was found in the water next to Was he in the barrel that found it? Was this just an exposed body?
So that particular body number one that was in May, that body was located inside a barrel. There was a gunshot to the head. So there were some clothes that were left over as well, but the body was deteriorating. You can see the bones in the clothes. They stated during the investigation with the coroner that they believe that the clothes that that particular person was wearing, which I believe they assumed was male, from 1975 to 1980, that the clothes was from Kmart. Maybe it was a specific brand. You know, Kmart, Walmart has a brand of their own. And it's amazing to think about that the body and the clothing, that it stayed preserved for them to actually say that the clothes was from Kmart.
That's remarkable. My question also is, if the person had a bullet to the head, is a bullet still in the head?
Right now, I mean, Las Vegas Metro, the coroner's office did not state what they've located in general. It is an active investigation. The FBI is involved in general. So the question really comes down to is, yes, was the bullet left over? Now, the question really comes down to 1975. Can they really track it back, you know, unless they found the gun? So yes, if the bullet was located inside the barrel and the gun was located nearby, it would definitely say, yes, that bullet was very much related. It was a 9mm. It was something, you know, different. They do say that if we do believe in the conspiracy theory that it was, you know, mafia related, that a lot of times they would use a very small firearm, that it wouldn't be a 9mm. It really would be a smaller firearm. But you never know. I mean, we don't know really what happened in the past. Imagine if we can go back in time, you know, to the day that this happened.
Put all the pieces together, because there's a lot of missing pieces
Exactly.
with this. And if the gun isn't from that victim, it must be a victim from somebody else. And there's another case then.
Absolutely. I mean, the truth is, I mean, we do live in the Wild West, so there are a lot of firearms all over, you know, this city in general. How many guns are actually in Lake Mead, right? How many people would toss over a gun into that depth of water? I mean, so like, remember, you know, if it's 1,100, you know, feet or something, and now we're at 1,000 or 980 or whatever it may be. I mean, it is weird that the gun is in the same area. So if the gun was located in another area, then we would say, oh, maybe it's not related. But it's definitely unusual for that gun to be in the same immediate area where they found the body with a barrel with a gunshot. You know, they didn't find any other guns anywhere else so far. Now remember, Lake Mead is huge. I mean, how many people are getting to different spots of Lake Mead to find it? And that's the reason why we set up this reward, because we figured just like the see something, say something initiative from the police, we felt if we did a reward of money, people would be looking more, right? And people are looking more because, like I said, 4 days later, we do a news release from the Problem Solver show, and women basically locate the second body, and they call us and like they wanted the reward money. In that specific situation, we didn't give any reward money because it was specific to a diver in a barrel, and we were trying to do a specific initiative for divers. In this situation, coming up the next few weeks, we may have these other people come on to the Problem Solver show and explain what exactly happened, why were they there, stuff like that. I think a lot of people don't want to say that they're looking for bodies because they know that it may be illegal, they didn't have a permit. So it's better for them saying, oh, you know, I was just at Lake Mead in the area and just looking around. But it does seem that people are actively looking. It's a big conversation in Lake Mead in general. Myself, again, Danny Miner, who's a retired cop from Pennsylvania, is part of the show. And Beja Rivera, which actually was a big help because she speaks Spanish. She's bilingual, and the person that found body number 3 and 5 spoke only Spanish. So they came on the show as well. And if you actually go to identifythebody.com, it showcases the body that this particular gentleman and the family found, showcases the body. We're looking for people to come forward to share some tips. On that particular video, there's about 3,000 views right now on identifythebody.com, and it's specifically from the Problem Solver show, identifying that body with the person that located it and showing the video, which is it's kind of amazing when you get a chance to look at it. And if any viewers want to go to identifythebody.com and they want to share with other people and so on, the goal again is to get tips, to get closure. It definitely seems crazy. Actually, by the way, I had a coroner friend that looked at the video. I thought maybe it would be a female because that would change things up. Imagine now, we always think like the mafia and it's males, but I thought maybe it was a female the way that the body looked. But the coroner friend of mine basically said, no, it definitely is a male. Because I think people would be more upset.
To look at different angles and also to identify there could be a language barrier, and maybe there are tips, but they're not understanding when we're just communicating like this.
Exactly.
So it's really important to be able to have people from all around the parts of Vegas, from all parts of the world, you know, it's very transient, to be able to be involved.
So the Problem Solver show, we have a phone number which is 702-999-1111. We'll use the number like The police is 911, 702-999-1111 is the Problem Solver Show. If someone wants to speak Spanish specifically, one of our problem solvers is Beja Rivera, who's like I said, a co-host of the show. And then myself and Danny, of course, speak English. And we have other people, if other people speak different languages like Tagalog, the Filipino, if anyone has any type of tips, we're looking for information. Some people, you just will start talking about things, and that information is enough to basically help police or law enforcement figure out the case in general. And like I said, there's definitely a future for us investigating it more in general.
My question also is, have you did any interviews with the owners of Lake Mead or anybody that usually has their boats that come out there to see what they feel, thought, or how they explore now being on Lake Mead?
There's several different people that are out at Lake Mead. A lot of them, some of them have YouTube channels in general that they're going out and showcasing what they're finding in general. Danny, my co-host, he's out there a bunch, and he talks to local law enforcement and rangers and different people. At this point in time, we were doing things in steps in general. At this point in time, our next step is really getting with the historian at the Mob Museum, getting people like Mayor Goodman. Actually met with him the other day, and we spoke. And then I spoke with Maya Lansky's grandson, who has ties, back in the day as well. So I'm basically reaching out to different people and some people in the community that know about the past, trying to get some intel and information from them. I have a retired detective that I work with as well, that he's creating an intel report for us in general, and we're actively investigating. We actually have a new office that's set up by Charleston and Rancho, which is the Problem Solver headquarters, and also what we're starting is what we want to call Sin City Crime Solvers, where we're trying to solve crimes and basically look for cold cases. Besides the Lake Mead, the bodies, and whether it's a missing person or a drowning victim, we are trying to start Sin City Crime Solvers by having an office that people can come to that have a cold case, and from there we're going to interview them and get information and intel, and then maybe offer also other reward money available to those specific cases. Some people may want to say, look, if you can help me solve the case of my grandfather, I don't mind giving $30,000. I'll provide tip money and reward money for helping my case. And then we would put it on TV, or we put it on, the Problem Solver show, and try to get it out there to people. And then if people have information, they would call 1-833-TIPS-CASH, and then we would, try to solve that mystery for that family member. Because the police, are very, very busy. They're shorthanded, and there's not enough police in general. I just saw the other day they just hired, 50 more officers. But by the time you have 50 more officers deployed, in Las Vegas Metro, 50 more officers will retire, or basically they'll go to specialized details and stuff like that. So there's never enough police out there. And the cold cases, sad to say, even a murder case or missing person will always stay open. But the question is, are they actively working? And in most cases, they're not, because they don't have the manpower. There's so many cases. The manpower is enough to operate for today. They're cleaning up today's situations, emergencies, and messes for today. They don't really have time to go back to the 1975 murder case and go interview other people. And that's why we're trying to basically just get involved and help out and just be involved in the community to do justice,
So for the community too, when you talked about the one guy that was recovered with his Kmart sneakers still intact from the late 70s, early 80s, how much the population is so much different back then than it is now.
What's interesting is, I guess Kmart was a major new brand, right? That new store, a retail operation, 1975, 1980. So it's very, very interesting. We had one person that called in that was interesting for a tip, and they stated, which was interesting, that their family member disappeared, and the only store that they had in town, which was in Utah, neighboring state, that they had a Kmart. That was the only store in town that they had. And they said that maybe it was related because that's where the family member would shop, was at Kmart. But it was in Utah, not even locally here. So, they were like, maybe it's my family member. Supposedly the rumor is, and if you speak to different people, that the mafia in general, they could take a body and put it anywhere, but supposedly it was an unwritten rule that if you were going to really get rid of a body, it would be in California or in Arizona, in another state. They didn't want to do it locally here in town. They wanted to do it somewhere else. They didn't want to bring heat to themselves or their organization here locally. So with that being said is, was it mafia related? Was it a motorcycle gang related? Was it anything, different? So again, there's a lot of conspiracy theories. Some people don't believe it's mafia related, though we think it is because of Vegas and the old school times of, Bugsy Siegel and Meyer Lansky and Spilotro and these different people. People like the whole movie and the mobsters and Goodfellas and Casino, and people like that mystery. But it may be a total random person.
Are you willing to have anybody on your podcast that wants to help support you, and also maybe their information or knowledge to bring to light on how to build a community to help support like recovering these bodies?
Absolutely, absolutely. Anyone that wants to get involved, I mean, we're totally open for that. I'm actually surprised because I've reached out to several different people and trying to get them involved. And some people may think that we're crazy in general. What we're trying to do in general, myself and Danny Minor were retired police officers, and the goal is to really help solve crimes and get the community involved. So anybody that wants to, we would love to have
I
it.
do have a question. I'm like cringing for it. Oh.
Go for it.
How many bodies do you think there are in this Lake Mead?
So we have the same question that we ask the people in the Problem Solver Show, and at this point in time, we say, how many more bodies will we locate by December 31st for another 6 more months, right? September, October, November, December. 4 more months. We believe there'll be at least another 5 bodies that will be located, by December. When we spoke about this originally, we were at body 1. Now we're at body 5. So we believe at least 5 more bodies because the water, again, it's so much lower. So even every 10 feet, I kind of feel like almost every 10 feet could be like another body that could be exposed of that's kind of like in the sand, in the actual lake bed, just like the other body parts are being shown. So it'll be very, very interesting. It definitely is a little scary if you think about it, especially people that are swimming, in general. But yeah, I think 5 more bodies, sad to say, but maybe we can get some closure and put at least their bodies to rest.
So we need to come together as a community to help. Thank you so much for this interview and all the insight you gave me and our viewers here.
Absolutely. I appreciate being on the show as well and kind of sharing the message. Anyone that wants to help out, we would love information. Again, the Problem Solver is 702-999-1111.
And the 1-833-TIPS-CASH. It'll be at the bottom of the screen. Thank you for staying tuned.
Hello, everyone. This is Joseph Skoda with Social Media Shows. Well, I thank all of you for your support through these last several years, and it's been a lot of fun. We've given people a voice they never had before. Now, Social Media Shows is always collaborating with our veterans to help them do things and help out the veterans who are struggling today. And we teamed up with GI Connections, connecting veterans with resources. So please consider helping and donating to this great cause because we're always doing things for veterans. So GI Connections, Social Media Shows, and you is what makes the world a better place. Once again, Joseph Skoda, proud United States Air Force veteran.
Welcome to Social Media Shows. Have you been watching social media shows recently? Of course you have. We have been live streaming for 4 years across social media platforms. We produce over 70 shows with over 1,000 episodes. In the process, we've helped over 100 creators realize their dreams and start their own show. We give platforms to promote your business. If you are an artist, if you have an event, if you are entrepreneurs, or if you have a story. If you haven't done it yet, go ahead and subscribe and follow us on major social media platforms. And if you have a great idea of a show, join us. Social media shows can help you produce and live stream your own show. Let us help you make your dream become a reality.
Welcome back to Vegas Views and my guest, David Kohlmeier. Thank you so much for giving the viewers some information to be able to connect with you for the bodies that are being discovered in Lake Mead.
Absolutely. Thanks so much again for having me and sharing kind of the adventure and what we're doing to help the community in a different way.
It's pretty intense, all the information you were given. I mean, that's a lot to take in with people that were unaware of the bodies that were being discovered, and there are more to come. Now, my question to you is, you're a problem solver. You have a podcast?
Correct. So the Problem Solver started as a podcast about 15 months ago. The last 4 months, we have the podcast along with a TV show called The Problem Solver, which is on Channel 14, which is Tuesdays at 6 p.m. The TV show and the podcast is a little bit different. The podcast is about an hour, sometimes even goes longer depending upon the discussions. And then about 15 minutes later, we actually film and produce at Sticky Paws Studio. We film the TV show, but it's only about 21 minutes of talk time. So we're talking for about an hour and 15 minutes, then we shrink it down to about 21 minutes of talk time along with some commercials from some of the sponsors that we have. But the goal is to basically make it really, really tight and get information. Just because it's TV, it's a little bit different. So, we enjoy the hour podcast because basically we get that relationship, we get to know the person, and then we realize what are the best topics to talk about for TV to make it just really short and perfect for TV. So it's great. And it's all about problems. If people have problems or problems in the community, we bring on different experts, we bring on leaders, attorneys, we bring in anyone that wants to come talk. Coming up, we have like a September 11th, we have a fireman who is actually, sad to say, he's dying of cancer still. He's on medicine, but we'll talk about 9/11 and about the future, right? Like, are we really protecting America? We have the anniversary, believe it or not, of Tupac Shakur's death, and how do we prevent things like this from happening in Las Vegas? And is the person still out there as well? Where the person that killed Tupac Shakur, it's a 26-year anniversary. It's something that we're working on as well, where we would love to bring light. There's never anyone been arrested for the murder of Tupac Shakur. And then we also have other people that come on the show, and then we have different attorneys that kind of jump in and share their personal opinions as well. So it's really a great show in general to get information and get people on the show and just talking and coming up with creative ideas where we can actually make some changes. We're using the Problem Solver show as a way to creatively speak about stuff to make change in our community and in people's lives.
So for your show that you have, what are some upcoming topics that you haven't yet been able to bring to light? Is there anybody that you want to connect to or haven't yet that could be on your Problem Solver show?
Recently we just met the new sheriff in town, and I think it would be great to have him on. I actually want to have Sheriff Lombardo on the show. It'd be interesting to talk with him because Vegas, even though we're talking about Vegas views of the show, what's been going on in Vegas, over the last 6 months or year and for the future in general. I do believe, as a retired police officer, that people have been a little bit more brazen in regards to criminal activity. How do we prevent crime will always be my number one passion as a police officer that did community policing and crime prevention. The goal is, how do we prevent crime? How do we make people safer? Even on my show, we do some crime prevention tips and strategies for people. But we want to have different people on the show. So I urge anybody that wants to come on the show, they can contact us. And we want people that are involved in nonprofits or that are doing things to help people or children, or whether, there's different nonprofits that help people medical, if people have cancer, different things. So we always want to bring different people on. And every single week we're looking for people. And we're trying to schedule, right now we're trying to schedule for the month of September. And then every single week, we're always looking for great people to come on. So if any of the listeners out there, if you know anybody in general that's able to share how we can solve some problems, it'd be amazing to have them on the show.
Absolutely. Have you ever done any public speaking where someone could attend an event of yours?
So every 2 weeks, we actually have, it's actually called Bruce Marin's Celebrity Speakers Bureau, which he actually runs a celebrity speaker bureau where if you wanted a speaker to come out, you can actually hire his company to get different people, anybody in the world. And sad to say, sometimes there's a price for certain people, right? You wanted Hillary Clinton or Bill Clinton or different people to come speak. You could use Bruce Marin's celebrity speaker to get that. But he also has a luncheon which takes place at Lowry's, which is every 2 weeks on a Wednesday. It's from 11:30 to 1. And he has different speakers that are locally in the community come out. It's a network luncheon. I probably will wind up speaking I spoke recently when there was about 65 in the audience for lunch. I probably will wind up speaking in October, just to space things out. Some people mentioned that I should go back on and speak and kind of tell my story, which I'm kind of telling today. So every 2 weeks, if people want to join a business network lunch, or if they want to come out and hear some different speakers and different topics, they are community leaders as well. And this is actually a new way I think that we'll also get people to come on the show, because when we hear people speak, we'll say, that person would be good for the show, or maybe they would be bad for the show. So it depends, but we are using it as a platform to gain different speakers in general. So yes, so if we know people that want to come out, Lowry's every 2 weeks, Wednesdays 11:30 to 1. they want to come on the show, they can contact the Problem Solver Show. But you could just Google the ProblemSolverShow.com and inquire about, being on the show or coming to different events that we do, a lot of networking events.
David, you're amazing. The more I get to know you, the more I'm like, wow, 100% going to send a lot of people your way because you're a good connector, especially in this community with your background that you had too in law enforcement and Problem Solver Show. I mean, you're just doing it all. I know you have upcoming events as well. That's why I got to meet you during that social networking. You do a lot of social networking, so people have the opportunity to come together.
Absolutely. So the goal is to have networking events to build relationships with people in the community. We work with Social Register, which has been around for many, many years. They're like the true social register network to help bring people together in businesses and relationships with people. And the goal is once you form a relationship with people, you get to know them, like myself and yourself, and you start following people now on social media, you're more likely to get involved. If you like a person, you have a relationship with someone, you met with them, you have had lunch, you have had coffee, you wind up doing business with them or referring people business, or just having nice relationships with people, which some people say in Vegas it's very difficult to do, but it's out there. You just go into the wrong events. The next event, I believe, we're doing, believe it or not, we've done some pool events for the summertime. The last event is September 7th, which we've done a Top Golf pool where just basically for 3 hours, people are networking and they're swimming and having a good time. So that will be the last event for the Problem Solver, where we're inviting people out to meet Danny Miner, who's the co-host, and Pedro Rivera. They actually have a following of people. Someone like Danny Miner has about 70,000 people that are following him on TikTok. Pedro Rivera is known in the community. Myself being the Problem Solver and being on TV. So we invite people to these different events from the Problem Solver.
Yeah, and I've also want to just touch on a little bit with the support you have given to the acting community here in Las Vegas. Thank you for bridging that gap too with hiring them on for certain events.
Yeah, I mean, we're always looking for good people, and I noticed the acting community, wants to work and they're eager, which I think these days it seems like a lot of people don't want to work anymore, but they seem eager to do things, and they have great personalities. So we've been trying to incorporate that at different events where we need different people, just being social and being actually sincere, not even acting, which is the funny part. I think that actors really are really sincere and loving and caring people. You don't even have to tell them to act. I mean, this is what they do. So it's great for different events to get people to, you want to welcome people at these events. You don't want to feel funny and get people involved.
So my other question is, what are some of your upcoming goals do you have in store for your Problem Solver and also upcoming events? What do you want to see here in the Las Vegas community?
It always goes back to kind of crime prevention. I want Vegas to be a safer community. And it's kind of unusual because we say it's the Wild West because people can carry firearms, they can carry concealed, they can carry open carry, but I just want Vegas to be a safer community. And I think that with the new sheriff that's coming in January, I think some with crime prevention initiatives, by diversifying the different police departments as well with race and religion and people, I think that actually will help the community in general. And so the goal is to make Vegas a better and safer place. Sad to say, I'm not a politician, not really looking to be one, but basically getting people more involved in the community. And you don't have to be the police to be involved. You could be a pastor, you could be a rabbi, you could be anybody that you want. As long as think about it, if we have a town of a circle, everyone's doing their part by making the community safer, even giving some money, a donation to someone that may be homeless, or notifying a nonprofit that deals with homeless that there's a certain area that has an increase of homeless, camps. We work with Shine a Light, which is a nonprofit that helps people go out and help people that are homeless, getting them off the street or getting them into a program that gets them off of addiction if they're having that problem. So imagine, again, we have a Vegas, we want everybody out there working to help Vegas to be stronger. We say Vegas strong, but are we truly Vegas strong? Can we be Vegas stronger? And what is every person, even my children that are 8 or 6, I mean, they're learning that they can give money or help people in different ways, or being on the podcast as what I call the mini problem solvers. They want to help people in general and do good things in the community. And we need to teach our children that in order for it to grow and rise as the years come forward in Las Vegas.
Absolutely, because I was going to ask you what kind of nonprofits have been devoted to, and you say it again, which one it was?
So Shine a Light is a great nonprofit where they go into the tunnels, they create relationships and friendships, and when the people are ready to get help, whether it's addiction or housing or depression, Shine a Light basically goes out to do that. So we're a supporter of Shine a Light. We also have worked with in the past Susan G. Komen for breast cancer. We also have several different, the different American Cancer Society where it's Real Men Wear Pink, where I've wore pink for like a month and try to get people involved that are men in the community wearing pink to donate money into, to showcase the cause, to help people. We've also had St. Jude's as well that helps children. So we're trying to work with different nonprofits, and I think when nonprofits come on the show, we learn more about them and we want to help them. So we are adding them to the ProblemSolver.Vegas app, where we have some shirts that we sell from the Problem Solver, and money will go towards those nonprofits as well. We have like 3 different shirts.
I love that.
To
I'm going to be getting one of those shirts from you.
absolutely, it's great.
Thank you.
So a few different shirts that we're donating money, and like I said, whatever we can do to help, we're promoting it, on the show or on TV and getting the message out and boosting it on social media, to get the help for those nonprofits.
So you did hit something else that I'd like to bring up. You're a family man. You have children. What ways do you connect with the younger generation that's coming to light that maybe can get influenced to be part of the community, part of the connection of helping each other out?
Well, it's funny because my kids, I have Chloe, who's 8, I have Kyla, who is 6, and Kyle, who's a 3.5-year-old, and they actually come to the Problem Solver show. And in the beginning, I don't think they really understood what was going on, but they really want to be involved. So they come on the show once in a while. They'll jump in. They'll some of the sponsors give out some items and stuff like that in general, and they want to speak. So I've been asking them, like, what problems can you solve as well by getting the younger generation to speak out? And the truth is, everybody in the future is going to have a podcast. If you have a business or you have a nonprofit, it's the only way these days that you create content. And when you create content for an hour, you look for those golden nuggets, and those golden nuggets go onto Instagram Reels or TikTok. Who knows what the future may be? Just like in the past, it was MySpace. But the bottom line is, you create this hour podcast, just like we're creating now on this show here today. We can cut it up and create micro content for social media on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Because these days, people, attention span is very short. With this phone, everyone's swiping these days. You got about 5 seconds to capture someone's attention, whether it's a nonprofit or to donate money or to be involved. So my goal is to get my kids involved so they can do the Problem Solver, in general for the future as many problem solvers, and to get them involved in doing, good work, God's work, in the community.
I absolutely love everything they've shared so far today. My thing too is maybe hit the schools. They have the fall festivals, spring falls, the PTAs, get involved with the Parent-Teacher Association, and I think hitting the younger generation will also help. Mom, Dad, I want to watch Problem Solvers. You know how the kids always make you want to do something?
Absolutely. There was one initiative we didn't really start, but it was called an act of kindness, and we wanted to reward monthly money again. Reward, sad to say, money sometimes is the key to get some people to do things, but the act of kindness reward for children. 5th grade was going to be the age group, specifically because that was when I used to teach the DARE program as a police officer, and the DARE program doesn't really exist anymore in Las Vegas. In Henderson, they have a program that I was involved in called Dreams, which is called Dream Now. But I like to offer an act of kindness reward where every month 5th graders will write in of what type of act of kindness did they do for the month, and one child will be selected to receive, I think it was going to be like a $500 reward, and there'd be a sponsor from like Las Vegas Legal Network or one of our sponsors would donate that money to a child, and they would explain what did they do. So could you imagine if all the kids in all the schools were trying to do an act of kindness, right? Even though they're trying to do it for $500, I think that we're creating a massive wave of kindness throughout Las Vegas at a lower level age. Even though the money is a little bit of an incentive, I think it gets people what we call muscle memory in the police world to get them to know that this is what we should be doing. We should be kind. We should be doing acts of kindness all day long, whether it's for money or for no money.
I love this. Thank you so much for doing this interview with me.
Thank you for having me.
I'm going to be sharing it with everyone because people need to be in contact with you. You're amazing.
Thank you so much. I appreciate your time, and thanks for having me on. And at least I can be able to get my word out, ProblemSolversShow.com, to get in touch with myself or Danny Miner or Beja Rivera. And again, really appreciate your time.
Yep, thank you. All right. Thank you, Vegas viewers.